Shlomo Ben-Ami, you would presumably describe yourself as a liberal, as a man of the left, as a Democrat, and yet you also describe yourself as an ardent Zionist. Is it possible to be both a liberal and a Zionist?
Of course it is possible. I would refer you to the initial Declaration of Independence of the State of Israel, where it says that this is about the ingathering of the exiles based on ancestral certificates of belonging, but one that is also respectful of the rights of minorities, ethnic groups, religions, gender. And I would add to it the definition that the founder of Zionism, Herzl, gave at the time, that this is about the creation of a Jewish state based on the laws of the nation.
How does a political ideology, which at its core is about privileging a particular ethnic group, presumably over other ethnic groups, how do you reconcile that with the principles of liberalism, which is about equal rights for all, equal citizenship for all?
I think you need an effort to reconcile the two, to square the circle. It's not easy. But I do agree that there is a fundamental anomaly in the creation of the State of Israel. But I do agree that there is a fundamental anomaly in the creation of the State of Israel. This perhaps can explain the controversy around the Jewish state, because it was created in a very particular way. And given the background of Jewish history as we know it. But I do believe that enlightened leadership and more sober political construction in Israel could have reached that kind of squaring the circle.
But when you talk about squaring the circle or anomaly, some people go further. They say there is inherent, more than just a tension, there's a contradiction. When you talk of being a Jewish and democratic state, it's like talking about hot ice. It's a contradiction in terms, it's an oxymoron.
No, it is not an oxymoron. I mean, you can be a Jewish state where the Jews are a majority, but is fully, unconditionally respectful of the minorities. Look, without declaring it, many other states throughout the world gave priority to a majority ethnic or religion.
You're right. So if we take the United States, for example, you could say there's a big debate about indigenous people there, Australia. The difference, surely, is that in the nature of Zionism, surely it's about preserving a Jewish majority. And that Jewish majority, of course, came about by expelling some of the Palestinians who were living within those original borders, those UN-mandated borders. You wouldn't have a Jewish majority and a Jewish state had you not expelled Palestinians along the way.
Well, this is the way the State of Israel was created. I'm not trying to whitewash the anomaly in the creation of the State of Israel. I'm not trying to whitewash the anomaly in the creation of the State of Israel by saying that nations normally throughout history were born in blood and were born in sin. The difference is that Israel was born in the age of mass media. Imagine that the United States would have been born in the age of mass media after the elimination of the indigenous people.
Today, the United States does not say it is the nation or the country of one particular ethnic group or religion, and whereas the Jewish state is called the Jewish state. You are, in its very title, is privileging one group of people over another group of people who happen to live within that state's borders. That's why people talk about it's an ethnocracy, not a democracy, some suggest.
You need to see that against the background of Jewish history. Now what we need is to reconcile that complex historical background with what a normal state should be.
you see Palestinians as a demographic threat to Israel? Do you use that language?
It does not respond to the original plans of Zionism.
What proportion of the Israeli population in an ideal world, in Shlomo Ben-Ami's ideal, would be Palestinian?
I mean, it's
an important question. If you're going to talk about demography, how many Palestinians is too many?
I can't say that. I don't know.
If it was 51% Palestinian, would that be a problem for you as a liberal Zionist?
I guess not, but as a whole, the state needs to have a Jewish majority because that was the initial idea. This is the essential ideology.
You're contradicting yourself. You're saying, I guess not to 51%, but the state needs to have a Jewish majority.
You are discussing with me mathematics. I'm talking about the principle.
I'm saying, in a Jewish state, with a quote-unquote demographic threat, or demographic race is the phrase you use in your book, how many Palestinians is too many?
How many Muslims do you want in Britain? You're trying to turn Israel as a special case.
It is a special case.
Okay.
It's the only democracy that defines itself on ethnic grounds.
But there are others that do not define, but do it in practice.
In practice, okay. Yeah. Let me...
For example, the Arab world is... Arab states are not Muslims.
I don't think the Arab states have ever claimed to be Western liberal democracies. Avi Schleim, every country does it.
Well, we are talking about Israel, not about other countries. And Israel, within its pre-1967 borders, is a democracy, a flawed democracy. But Israel, plus the occupied territories, is most emphatically not a democracy. It's an ethnocracy where one ethnic group dominates over the other.
And very quickly, are you a supporter of a two-state solution? Or do you think a one-state solution is now inevitable? Or a unilateral withdrawal to
All my life I supported a two-state solution. But now I believe that the two-state solution is dead. It's dead as a dodo. It's dead as the Oxford dodo, which you can see at the entrance to the Pitt Rivers Museum, not very far, not very far from
it's here. It's dead. I think we get it.
And Israeli governments destroyed the two-state solution, systematically destroyed the basis for a viable Palestinian state.
Paul, how many Palestinians is too many in Israel today?
Judaism and Jews are a fundamental part of the nationality, the national outlook of Israel. It's a fundamental part. And if you said in Britain today that you would open your borders to immigration from around the world, you would have riots on your hands.
I ask you a question. Are Palestinians immigrants in their own land?
Not just Palestinians. Israel will limit its immigration of any nationality, of any people around.
Paul, it's a very simple question. Are Palestinians immigrants in their own land?
Non-Israelis, which is fundamentally part of Judaism, are limited in the amount of people that can come into Israel.
This is precisely the face of Zionism, the fact that Israel comes to me and now I'm considered to be an immigrant to that country. This is precisely the ideology. The problem with Israel is that it views me either as a demographic threat or as a security threat. And if you look at Israel today, it already is one state. It's no longer a question of whether it's going to be one state. It is one state. The problem today is it's apartheid.